Welcome everybody to episode 4 of Coach Up. And today we are going to talk about something very interesting and the area of accountability. And today we welcome back our darling and amazing coaches, Derek and Irene. And we want to just talk about the area of accountability. And we always begin again with the interactions with each one of you out there that spoke to us through our Instagram, through our Insta story. And the area that we're talking about is accountability in coaching. And we define accountability in coaching as a relationship where your journey of growth is shared and or reported. You share and report to a coach, updating what's going on. And amazingly, as we look at the results, I think most of you agreed of it. Like literally, all of you went 10 upon 10. You all agree that coaching accountability is so important to you. So I think that let's begin with that question then. What and how important would you say is accountability in your life? Based on the people that we see around us, what would you think is some of the reasons that so many people see accountability as being so important? I think for me, I would say that why it was so important to them, maybe it would be because they've experienced coaching in their own simple way, in their own like work environment. And because in the work environment, they have experienced that area of accountability within their bosses, their superiors. So maybe that's the reason why people that joined our poll today actually shared that it was so important for them in the area of accountability. Yeah.
I'm really glad to.
Yeah.
Sorry, Irene.
My guess to that is that, they have experienced a good coaching relationship. That's why.
All right. In fact, I'm really glad to hear that so many people agree with the idea of accountability. It tells us that somehow the experiences is that they've had some good encounters with friends, with coaches, with leaders. Brilliant. It's been my own experience that I wanted to write a book many years ago. And it's called 30 Days to a Better Self-Awareness. And my first venture of writing the book was that it's going to be easy, it's going to be quick, 30 days, right? I just need to write one chapter per day, and then by the end of the 30 days, I'll have it. But little did I know, by the first year, I wrote only 9 or 10 pages of this book. So many blockages came up for me the moment I started to write. There were histories that kind of told me that I wasn't good enough. I'm never going to make it. Who do I think I was to write such a thing? And by the end of the year, I thought to myself, if I continue, most probably in a few years' time, I'll write something. But since I was a coach myself, I said, let me hire a coach to help me out here. And so I hired someone. His name is also here in the book. He wrote the foreword for me, in fact, by the name of Rob Stringer. He's from Canada, and he was in the same group of coaching academy I was involved in. So I got in touch with him and he coached me. And it took another 8 to 9 months before I literally finished the 30 days. There were so many things that were blocking me, and some of them I knew, but I didn't know how high those blockages were. I knew they were there, but talking to my coach over and over again, I really had an idea how difficult these movements were for me. And having a coach and say, okay, next week I'm going to do this, that really helped me. And finally, after 8 to 9 months, I got the book done and then printed on the 10th month.
Well, amazing. How about Irene, how's your experience of, accountability for yourself?
Well, I have heaps of it. Like I can give you one, but that is very recent. in the year 2016, I started my blog. It's called fullyalive.live. It is an effort of me to write down what are my reflection. So the idea in the first place that was inspired by my father. My father died in the year 2014, and then I decided to just pursue what I believe I was called to do. It was a very difficult journey at the time, but then I learned a lot through the death of my father. And I come to believe that death is the best teacher of life from that. And there was so much that I have reflected upon in that 1 year of grieving and then another year of thinking about this idea of starting a blog. So finally, I started it on the death anniversary of my dad in 2016, 2 years later. And the first blog post was called 2 Years On. Yeah, that was amazing. And I had this idea in my head that I'm going to do it every month at the time. Then I didn't tell it, I didn't say it to anybody. I just say, okay, I just started this blog post. I'm very happy, high on spirit and everything. And eventually, from every month, it dropped to like every 3 months. And sometimes I did not even write in 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, and that kind of thing. And then I started to pick myself up again, because as a coach, I do have the idea about accountability. And I told maybe 1% or 2%, okay, now I'm going to get serious. I'm going to do it every 2 weeks. Yeah, it lasted for a month and a half to 2 months for that period. And then it's gone again. It's collapsed again. There's so many reasons, like Derek mentioned about blockages. And I see that so well, within me. And whenever I sat down, I say, I don't have inspiration, I'm not going to write anything. I just can't do this. I wrote something, this is just not good enough. There were so many things that came through my mind, and then it fell through. And recently, when I decided again, this time I'm going to do it weekly, because there is blessings that I can give to people, and there are things that I can offer through my writing to the people on my reflection on what I've learned from my journey all this time. So I've decided to pluck up my courage and told these two brothers of mine, Derek and Justin, okay, I'm going to do it every week. I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to tell you what are the progress. This is what I want to do. And I want to make that as a lifestyle, to be consistent, very inspired by both of them being here in this journey with me. And I'm happy to report so far, they didn't ask me how was things, and it just came from me. I say, okay, I just want to let you know that I've been doing it every week. Yeah, and you've asked me, what can I do? How can we support you? That was a very powerful question from both of you. And immediately I say, ask me what are the titles. You know what? You haven't even asked me once, but because of that sense that I want to be accountable, I've done it every week for now. I'm very happy to be in this journey, and it just empowers me so much as a coach, as a person, and just to share my personal experience, to bless the world with that.
Wow, that's amazing, Irene. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you've shared and then that worked for you.
Yes.
The beginning of it all. I think for me also, the idea of accountability started off really powerfully. I think with Derek, after I did my Jumpstart, the program that we talked about so much, and all of us are the trainers there, I was at the point like, okay, this is a huge leap. I dream that my next move is towards going to coaching, because I love helping people, but how do I do this? I remember on that famous Coco Hill, we sat down at this housing area, like this inn, which was your friend's place, Derek. And then I'll share, okay, this is what I will do. This is what I will kind of like move towards. I'm so unsure, like, am I able to do this? But this is my dream. How can you help me? And what can I do? I think that all the questions came up, Derek. And I remember you sharing, okay, what's the next step? What do you want to go forward? And I remember immediately the most amazing next step was coaching, getting you to coach me to be that coach. And I think I remember that whole journey of like, when I started off humbling and trying to see, okay, how do I coach? And then you say, just start off with finding people that is open to be coached. And I started out that journey, And at the start, I was a bit fumbling and hesitant, and I was sharing, Derek, today I did this, but then, I'm so unsure. So there's so many ups and downs, but I think that was what happened in our coaching session. You coached me, you supported me, you directed me. And I think that was something that was like, wow, and that helped me to come to the point where I am today. That the beginning steps is that spearheading the system, that accountability that I needed at that point, I believe that I'll be just still at the start of like, okay, like, how do I start this? If I never actually started off with like coaching sessions with you, Derek, I think so. Yeah, I think you are that mentor that that I think both of us have actually accounted for and really being an experience of it lah. So I think then with that, let's talk about then the area of coaching. We talked about accountability, we talked coaching, and even from my experience, that area of coaching was the key. That was the key thing. Even you, Derek, shared about how a coach helped you. And I think now the question will be, in the area of coaching setting, when you talk about coaching setting, what are the elements that make accountability so effective?
I would see it as this is a provision of safe space for us in the area of coaching, because we know that the number one principle in coaching is confidentiality. So whatever we share, it's kept there, and that create trust among the people for the coachee and the coach itself. So with the safe space, you're able to be just yourself, to be creative. There are a lot of times that I personally felt that, I want to start something, but I felt scared to share to anybody. But with a coach, you can just share it out. This might be an idea that I want to work on. Yeah, what do you think? I want to write a book. Yeah, things like that. And your coach will always be there to encourage you, to give you the space to share when there's blockages, like how Derek shared in this time, like, oh, this is not moving, there's frustration. I shared last week about my friend as well, who, these are the things that I'm facing. And in that space of coaching, you are able to express it, you're able to hear yourself, and therefore also able to move forward more effectively, more powerfully. Your confidence just rise with that, with a coach with you.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. I think one of the elements also that I've seen in coaching people and even being coached is that the elements of being stuck. I don't like the word stuck, but that's something that a lot of people say, I'm so stuck, I don't know what to do. I think that area of blockages is the key thing that in coaching that helps so effectively in overcoming that blockages. I think for me, when I remember so clearly when I was just starting off in this journey of being coach, I had so many blockages, and that was just really pulling me down. Like, when I hit a blockage, I'm like, I know this is too huge. But then in the area of coaching, and then there was, you broke it down for me. You're like saying, why do you feel this way? What was that blockages? Why is that blockages there for you? What can you do to overcome it? I think that these type of questions, I would not have come alone and not be able to introspect enough if I was just trying to figure it out on my own, But I think that's what helped me a lot in the area of coaching, is that when someone is there to just ask that questions, and I just report to you basically, okay, this is what happened to me, and this is what's going on, where am I, in this journey, and then just being able to bounce off someone. I think that's the key thing that why coaching is so effective in our current situation. Yeah.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Irene. Literally, I think when you have the ability and the possibility to share, whether it's something that you are excited about, but it's not quite complete yet, so it's a safe space for you to talk, that's so powerful, because when we articulate, things become clearer for us. And then when it is clear, we can take accountability for it. Or the reality that certain things are blocking us, when you are able to say it out, then you can do something about it. And when someone follows you up and say, okay, what have you done about it? Then progress is there. Well, two things that also helped me very much in this whole accountability reality is that, one, we talk about something very specific. As a coach, I'm very committed to this. When someone says, okay, I will do something about it, then I will say what thing, how many times or how many hours, what exactly are you hoping to complete, so that the next time when we meet up again, then we are able to say, okay, now that was done, and that it's very, very clear. I'm trying to remember what was the other thing that I said I wanted to speak about. Also the areas that didn't work. And I think this is also very important, because we can have great ideas and say, I'm going to work on this. And then when you're embarked in that situation, then you see the mountain or the blockages were actually even higher than how you have anticipated it. And that helps you to look at this and say, okay, I underestimated this. It's far more challenging. Then you create another plan to work around it step by step. And that really helps. And when you have someone to speak to and say, okay, this is my changed plan. I'm going to work on it in this other way.
Yeah, truly. I think planning is a key point of it. Like when we already need to plan and come to that roadblock, plan again, and continue growing. I think that's why we even talk about that in Jumpstart. It's like there's a plan, and then when we hit something, then we can actually plan and grow much more. So that's amazing. I think, Irene, thank you so much for sharing that point of like how you felt, the effectiveness of it. I think I echo with that too. But then let's talk about also now in the current situation that we are in, and not many people are able to receive that, what would you feel that is a way that how can we build that lifestyle of accountability then with the people around us, and being in this situation, the pandemic, what can we do?
I believe the first thing that is important is that we have to be more intentional to want this. Yeah, the intention, like I want this, I want to be accountable. And therefore, I'm taking this as my self-responsibility. I'm taking responsibility for my life. So in that sense, I feel gathering around a group of people, now that we have Zoom call and things, that is very possible. Gathering around a group of people that will support you in your journey of accountability, that comes as being quite important. And I recently come across a healing series where a therapist was talking about healing trauma. It was very interesting. So she does therapy with horses, animals in specific. And a lot of her clients were actually children. Most of them were children. And 80% of them has experienced a current loss of a parent. So that was a huge trauma. And it affects the children very deeply, to the point that they are not sociable, they are depressed, they're clinically depressed, in that sense they are scared, they are fearful of a lot of things, they can't open up. And animals has the ability to help them to open up. And in that setting, they normally will have a group of children to do the therapy together, so that they see what the other child is doing with the horse. They touch, some of them will be so open to hug the horse, and it has the power to heal them, to open that up. It's very interesting. And these therapists also use the way horses act to teach these children to be open, to have the courage to let go and to live life again. Very interestingly, because horses are herd animals, they like to go in herd, like in group. They're safely in group in that sense. So I see this as like, it's also quite real in building a culture. When you're intentional and you find people who are also intentional in building this culture of accountability, you rise up together. And the likelihood of you getting to your goal is very high. I would say it's just amazing.
Thanks, Irene, for expressing that. I really lean towards this also, the reality that we are herd beings, herd animal also, that when we are together, something beautiful can happen. To add on to that, I imagine that also all of us who are together needs to have some form of goals. So it's not just having an idea to stop doing certain things, but then the idea is that all of us want to move towards something. That would be the kind of goal I'm imagining, that when all of us have a goal, then accountability will work for us. It can't be that I want to see you grow, but I have no intention of growing. And then I become the pressure point and I'm just saying, hey, when are you growing? But that accountability doesn't work very, very well.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. But I think one more thing that I feel that all of us can do, and I'm talking about experience here, is that to hire a coach. I think that's something that is so important. Okay, we're not selling ourselves, but I think that's my experience of having a coach, how much it helps. Even when I coach my clients and people around me, I think I see their growth exponentially move. It's not just like, oh, it just helps me to take one step, but naturally it grows and grows. I've seen clients that we talk about one point, by the time I see them next week, they're already jumping 3 steps ahead. By naturally what they have experienced, like they use the same techniques, the same things that we ask them, they ask themselves and they grow. So I think that's one thing that I've experienced myself when I was being coached by Derek, coached by other people also, is that there is also a step we can move forward, especially in this situation. Of course, like we said, coming together, we are all like humans who are very, like social beings. We need that group. Yeah, we can have Zoom meetings. But also much more is that one-on-one. Sometimes there's certain areas that we are a bit afraid to share. Like not too sure how to do it. But with that coaching, that's like what Irene said, there is that area of like safe space. In both areas, but there's a way that a coach can particularly ask a question that helps particularly in your area, and grow and is trained the people who knows what they're doing, how to do it properly. I think that's something that all of us can do individually in a one-on-one setting, but also as a group, the accountability can become part of our lives. Yeah. I think that's really.
I'd like to add one more, and that is, we talk so much about hiring a coach, doing this in a group, and the herd mentality. However, there is a place where personally we want to decide that this is something that we want to work towards. Talking about creating a lifestyle, this is very, very possible. This is our own initiative and our own power, that we are the one who are deciding that we want to grow. And with that, I'm suggesting that all of us want to find this place where we hunger for something bigger, where we are inspired to do something much more, because this whole idea of just surviving and making it through, it's not going to get us very far. And accountability, it's not going to do much for us also. I've been with people who were addicted to drugs. I imagine it's the same when you are addicted to alcohol. You can't just think about freeing yourself from an addiction. You need to create a greater goal that without addiction, I'm moving towards something bigger. In fact, this is a life principle, that we are meant for something greater. We're meant for something more beautiful than wherever we are now. So this is a personal work that we want to kind of engaged in, that when we have something much bigger we're working towards, accountability will be fantastic for that.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. And I think that's really something that we all would really value in our lives. And I think just want to really thank both of you for being part of this coaching session. I think I've learned so much again. I'm reminded so much already, and I think we are always going to be there for you all. And so I think this is a place that for each one of you out there, in our listeners out there, if you ever want to be coached, we are all available. You can contact us. We can send you you can give you connections to us, the coaches that we have here. And I think that's something that really helped us and will be able to help you out there. So before we end, I want to invite all of you to also go and remember to kind of follow our social medias, because that's where we are able to interact with you much more. We're able to hear your opinions. So every week we have been actually having polls, and different things, that's part of what we talked about in our coach up. We as us as coaches. So I want to invite all of you to don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. To share to people who you believe will get so much from this whole situation. We came here because we want to give some nuggets of coaching towards all of you, because during this pandemic, many of us are searching for the next step to move forward. And I think this is the way that we can give back to each one of you. But on that same journey, do continuously be part of our polling system. We want to hear from you. We want to actually be able to hear what you feel, and so that we can talk about it. We can hear the people and what is it that is motivating them, what is it that's driving them, and each one of you are so important to us, and we want to hear your voice. So before we end the whole thing, I want to thank all of you once again for listening to us, and we'll catch you up on the next time. See y'all guys later.